In today's video, I'm going to give you some pointers on how to make your men's haircuts a little bit easier. Okay, one thing that I've learned by teaching lots and lots of hairstylists straight out of beauty school, one of the things that a lot of them have struggled with are men's haircuts. And I get it. Totally get it, because the shorter the hair, the more mistakes you can see, right? I mean, anybody could do long, beautiful hair and cover it up with curling iron work or whatever. But the shorter the hair, you could see every little mess up, if you will. Okay, so a lot of people, a lot of hairstylists stress out over that. I get it. I mean, we're not trained to be barbers in hair school, okay? In fact, most of the time, you only get 1 or 2, maybe if you're lucky, lessons on how to cut men's hair. I know. And then we're supposed to come out of beauty school and know how to cut men's hair. Scare the bejibbers out of anybody. I get it. So I'm going to give you some pointers on how to make that a little bit easier. And if you happen to be somebody that's at home and you're cutting your boyfriend, your spouse's, somebody's hair with clippers, or just need a men's haircut, maybe these pointers might help you, okay? First, most men's haircuts these days, not all, tend to use a clipper. Here's my thought on that. That's fine. Clippers are fine, but you don't have to go out and buy those big clippers. Get yourself one of these. I love this. This is called the Peanut. I know it's cute, but it is a small sized clipper. See how this fits in my hand? And then it has its own little guards on it, okay? The reason why I love this so much, come here little doll baby, is because I can control it. It's smaller, for goodness sakes. If you have somebody with a small head and you have those big clippers, all of a sudden, I mean, it's hard to control. So number one, and don't be afraid to use these. I've used these my whole career. Now, do I have clippers? I do somewhere. They're in a box somewhere. Have I used them? Did I teach classes with them? Yes, but I don't like them. They're too big for my comfort. Now, if you're a barber, if you are somebody you're very proficient. I know a lot of stylists who are very proficient with clippers. Kudos to you, my friend. But I am not. And I know a lot of people who are not, and they're afraid of them. So get yourself a Peanut. I'll put the link in the show notes. You know I will. They're only like $30, $40, something like that. But if you're at home and you're cutting even a little kid's haircut, your son's haircut, my gosh, their little heads are like this big. And you put big old clippers on there, that's too much. Get yourself a Peanut. Okay, that's my number one tip. Okay. Second tip is the size of your comb. It's really hard to do a men's haircut with a huge comb. I do know stylists who do that, and they're perfectly capable of doing that. I'm just saying, to make it easier on you, get yourself a smaller comb. And this is more like a barber comb. See how it's skinny on one end, a little bit fatter on the other end, and it's very flexible. That's so you can get around those ears really, really tight and cut those sideburns really tight. If I did it with this one, you can only get this close to the head, whereas this one is very, very thin. Now, if you want to cut the top of the hair, or you can start off with that, but really you do need a smaller comb. I don't care what kind of comb, but this is not. You can tell it's not as flexible as this little guy, but it's still smaller. I would use this comb maybe for children's haircuts too, because they have a smaller head. Think about it. You got a smaller head, smaller hair, shorter hair, then you want smaller tools. Makes sense, right? Also, smaller shears, okay? Get yourself some 5-inch shears. Smaller shears, smaller comb, compared to, see the difference in size? Now these bad boys, they are sharp. They cut like butter, okay? But these more detail, I could get around the ears. This is my preference. If you're someone out there and you have a big pair of shears and that's the only thing you own and you're very comfortable with it, it is totally okay. I am just trying to make a men's haircut easier on you, and you might not have thought of these tips. Smaller scissors, smaller comb, smaller clippers, small, small, small. If it's a short haircut, smaller the tools. Same with pixie cuts. Pixie cuts too. Get yourself a 5-inch, 5.5-inch pair of shears, a small comb, good to go. Also, this is last but not least. You have to know the curve of the head. And what I mean by that, here's my little baby doll here. You have to know where to stop on the head with your clippers. Yeah, because we've all seen that. People take their clippers and they just don't know where to stop. And so they just keep rounding it up. And then you got this little cone head on top. General rule of thumb, find that O bone. Remember how I said that? And if you don't know how to find it, go to this video and see how I do the parts of the head, okay? And sectioning the hair. That'll at least give you an idea of where the O bone is, or the occipital bone is, okay? I remember, funny story, my sister's she's a nurse. She's got her PhD in nursing education, right? So she knows all the body parts, all the things. And she heard me call the occipital bone the O bone, and she was just like, what? I have never in my life heard that. She goes, I am gonna steal that. I'm like, what are you talking about? As a hairstylist, that's what we call it, the O bone. Isn't that funny? Okay, so you got to find where the O bone lives. It's that curve of the head, right in the back. If you are just starting out with that is where I would stop. Put your hand right there, and that's where I would make your clippers come off the head. That's your safety zone. Safety zone. Okay. Now, are there going to be times that you're going to want to come up higher? Of course, but this is a beginner safety net course. Put your hand right there where that O bone is, and that's where you're going. You're not going to come up any higher than that. And the same on the side of the head. You want to find the round of the head, and you do that by placing your comb, and again, go watch that video. Put your comb at the side of the head, put your finger right under there, and that's where your finger's going to live. See how I did that? See where that comb's coming off the head? That's where my finger's going to live. I'm going to put my finger right there. And then my clippers are not going to come further than my finger. This is your safety net. Makes it easy. So you're going to put your finger where the curve of her head is, his head, and then you're going to use your clippers and you're going to come up on top of your finger. That's going to be your safety net. And your finger is going to follow that all the way to the O bone. Ding, 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 ding. Makes sense, right? So that's where you're going to end your clippers. Then you're going to set your clippers down. You're going to edge out the detail, but you're going to set your clippers down, and then you're going to use your scissors to connect the dots. And that's a whole other video. Trust me, I'll have one on how to do a men's haircut the simplest way. And it's using clippers and your scissors. I got to get a model and cut their hair. I'll find one. Don't you worry. Anyway, I hope this has helped you. I hope it's simplified your men's haircutting. And don't be afraid to use smaller instruments. It's okay. It's okay. I've used them for 30 years. All right? You just want to make sure that you know what you're doing. If this has served you in any way, please subscribe to our channel. Please like it, so that tells the YouTube gods out there that people are liking our videos and they'll share more of them. It just really helps the algorithms, or that's what I hear. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.